So Ubisoft recently held a general shareholders meeting, as you can see here, from July 10th. And there was a rather interesting occurrence that happened during the meeting, where Yves Guillemot, the Ubisoft CEO, was directly confronted. We've actually got a clip of that we'll take a look at in a second, but the activist outlet thegamer.com wrote about this. You might be familiar with these guys. Think about like a wannabe Kotaku. That's basically thegamer.com. You might be thinking, who would aspire to be like Kotaku? I have no idea why anyone would do that. It seems like a really, really terrible decision. But I digress. It seems like the gamer really aspires to be like Kotaku journalists over there. They constantly defend massive corporations like Ubisoft and AAA slop like Dragon Age the Veilguard. They really seem to have liked that game. But yeah, they wrote about the situation. And the reason I want to very briefly take a look at their coverage, and then we'll take a look at the clip itself, is because to me it's just funny to see the gamer complaining about Ubisoft getting confronted. Hey, how dare anyone criticize these corporations? Gotta defend those billion-dollar companies. And so they say, from the moment Assassin's Creed Shadows was unveiled, it found itself as one of the many games targeted by anti-woke advocates online, under the guise of historical realism. Social media was flooded with racist comments and memes about one of the protagonists, Yasuke, to the point where it dominated much of the pre-launch conversation. Assassin's Creed Shadows would go on to bring in millions of players at launch, giving Ubisoft a much-needed win. Oh yeah, millions of players. That's something Ubisoft loves to say. Yeah, we got millions of players playing this game. Oh, cool story, bro. But how many of them actually bought the game? Oh, they're not going to release that information, right? I don't believe to this day they've actually released the official sales numbers for AC Shadows. But they love to talk about the player count as if that's the sole defining metric. You know, sales, we are not going to talk about that. How dare you ask us? Let's just not mention that one. You also got to love how they try to dismiss all the criticism that AC Shadows has received for the lack of historical realism, in particular from people in Japan as well, who completely understandably took issue with this. And instead they try and say, this is all just racist comments. It's just racism. You know, Ubisoft themselves got caught multiple times making conflicting statements. On one hand, they would say, it's very important to us to respect the culture of Japan and be as accurate as possible with AC Shadows. But in other statements, they were saying, this is a work of fiction and it was never our intention to be historically accurate, right? I'm paraphrasing this a bit, but you're probably familiar with all this stuff. And yeah, they got called out for this hypocrisy, even getting community noted multiple times on Twitter. And once again, as we just mentioned, activist outlet thegamer.com is going to try and dismiss this all as just racism. It's pathetic. In the final sentence, they say, however, that doesn't mean that the game has escaped the culture war just yet, as the woke complaints were brought up once more at a Ubisoft shareholders meeting of all places. But yeah, add some context to this clip, 52 seconds long on screen right here. That is, in fact, Yves Guillemot, the CEO of Ubisoft. We can see journalist Stefan Totilo had said, new, a jam-packed game file with lots of new Ubisoft reporting. How their CEO reacted to a face-to-face grilling about woke content and stop killing games. Surprise mention of a new Ghost Recon. Number of young workers at Ubisoft plummets. And more. Okay. But we're going to take a look at this clip as mentioned, so let's do that, shall we? With the caption, a truly bizarre moment. You know what's bizarre, by the way? This journalist who posted this, senior reporter at Kotaku, never posted the response by Yves Guillemot. It's like kind of weird, right? Like you're going to post a question, but not the response. I don't know why he would leave out the response, but I don't trust what any journalist does, especially a Kotaku journalist. Yeah, that's not a very trustworthy group in my opinion. Well, let's take a look at the clip that we do have.
I'm a recent shareholder, but I'm a long-standing user of Ubisoft wares. I have a couple of questions. First of all, regarding Assassin's Creed Shadows. There's been a lot of controversy regarding that game. How do you respond? Ubisoft has been accused and criticized for this wokest trend. I mean, this is happening in 16th century medieval Japan, and the main character is an African samurai. That's a bold choice by Ubisoft. And in the story, he falls in love. That's one of the possibilities of the game. He gets to fall in love with a transgender character. So, woke or no woke? How do you explain Ubisoft's deteriorated reputation?
So yeah, that's the full clip as mentioned, 52 seconds long, does not include the response, and Actually seems to even cut off a little bit of the inquiry there, the confrontation there. Let's play like the last 2 seconds one more time.
Reputation. Which
Yeah, so that's what we got though. Now apparently the full clip is available on Ubisoft's general meeting section for 2025 if you fill out all this information, submit it, and log in. And hypothetically, even if I were to give not actually my information here, which, you know, of course I wouldn't do that, but hypothetically, if I would do that, I'm still not inclined to fill this out and send it over to Ubisoft. So we'll have to make do with the clip that is available from that Kotaku journalist. Apparently, Yves Guillemot's response is provided here in this transcript that says, when you get to play the game, you understand that the game is full of characters, and the characters actually blend in with the game. In regard to this particular game, what was our goal? We wanted to showcase characters with heroic journeys. Yeah, you just couldn't pick a Japanese dude for that in a game based in Japan. Okay, bro. This is an actual character. This is someone who really existed. And showcasing that character has been extremely successful. And that is why we decided to tell that story. We wanted to tell a different story. In the responses to that Kotaku journalist posting the clip, we've got some duality. At the top, comment reads, "You just know she rehearsed asking these questions in the mirror the entire night before, just to crumble the moment she got the mic." Another one saying, "Buying one share and then attending this meeting to own woke Ubisoft is the crowning achievement of some Twitter loser's life." And then we got this one, however, saying, "Lady got straight to the point based. Get him, Tiger." A few more here. You really can't see this, can you? The only bizarre thing here is why you people still have jobs despite producing nothing but division and hatred and openly supporting terrorists. And then the final response here saying, "Imagine buying into a company just to wait till shareholders meeting time to ask why Ubisoft doesn't hate black people like you do. Insane." I love how some of these people are trying to make a big deal about someone buying a single share of Ubisoft to join the meeting. Guys, it's like $2 or less. It's like $1.50. You know what? My bad, guys. Look at this. Ubisoft. They're actually at $2.16 now. Wow. You know, I really underestimated these guys. Yeah, that's a great investment right there. I guess if you're shorting it, then you probably are pretty happy. Or if you're that recent investor who spent a couple bucks to ask a certain question, yeah, she's probably pretty happy with that decision too. I don't think she's going through buyer's remorse over a couple bucks to join the meeting and ask something. But very nice of the Ubisoft slop defenders on Twitter.com to be so concerned about this. In other news from just 2 hours ago, I saw this headline from Games Radar. I thought this was hilarious. Check this out. Ubisoft claims microtransactions help players experience more fun. Yeah, you know what players need more of in life? Microtransactions in single-player games. You know what? Let's throw a battle pass in there and a bunch of microtransactions for your single-player purchase. They say, "There are so many opportunities for leisure in the summertime. You can read at the beach, slurp on some Italian ice. But you have to admit, completing microtransactions is much more versatile." It's all season's entertainment, right? Paying more money for a game you thought you already paid for? Rainbow Six and Assassin's Creed developer Ubisoft seems to think so, telling investors in its most recent annual financial report that monetization within premium games makes the player's experience more fun. This is always optional, Ubisoft stresses, but players like to pay to personalize their avatars or progress more quickly. Yeah, forget earning that stuff through the game itself. Forget completing quests or achievements to get new avatar options and or progress more quickly. Forget technical skill and ability. All you need to do is buy some Ubisoft microtransactions, you know, press start or whatever and pull up the menu and there you go. Instant fun. After you already spent $70 for the game, maybe we'll say 80. We'll see. Hey, we're talking about quadruple A games after all, guys. Skull and Bones, you know, that was the first quadruple A game. We should expect Ubisoft to make like a $200 base game next. I mean, it's only fair. We're talking about some a lot of work and passion that goes into these games. I can't even, dude. I can't even. We have a quote here that says, "I find it baffling that Ubisoft has implemented terrible microtransactions into every single one of their AAA games," says one acerbic Reddit thread with over 2,000 upvotes. Quite literally, almost every single AAA title they've released for nearly a decade now have turned their games into this absolutely horrifying amalgamation made of greed, dollar bills, and copying machines. How bad are the microtransactions? Frets a Steam user in the discussion page for AC Shadows. "I can't stand when companies dump in a ton of microtransactions. But Ubisoft's world is all is all teacups and roses and dollar bills shaped like roses. The company continues to say in its financial report that with the strong growth in its digital business in recent years, Ubisoft has managed to successfully transform its economic model and is being responsible. The company has also set up a working group dedicated to monetization and the associated risks, with the goal of gaining a better understanding of the issues surrounding monetization, in particular by identifying practices that could be perceived as manipulative or non-transparent. That said, due to the complexity, sensitivity, and strategic nature of the subject, continues Ubisoft, the group has decided not to provide further details on the guidelines, practices, and recommendations mentioned above. Yeah, just like they're not going to release the sales numbers of AC Shadows. That's classic Ubisoft for you. But that's where I'm going to leave this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed the coverage. If you did, please consider liking and or subscribing, and have a great weekend. As always, thank you for tuning in. See you in the comments here, and in the next one.